alive! It's alive!
Otherworldlyculture.com presents Dead On Movie Reviews.
Salutations and mutilations. You're listening to Otherworldly Culture presents Dead On Movie Reviews. Tonight, we will present horror movie reviews and lively debate here on otherworldlyculture.com and on future select Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can join our live chat at that time by clicking on the live shows link on the otherworldlyculture.com website. I'm your host, Tim Kretschmann, coming to you to land of lakes and landfills, beautiful and smelly, Muskego, Wisconsin. It's my honor to introduce the Faculty of Fear panel presenting tonight's lectures. Tonight, hailing from the Motor City, Detroit, Michael Cieslak is a lifetime reader and writer of horror, mystery, and speculative fiction. He has served as an officer in the Great Lakes Association of Horror Writers and is the editor of the Eerie Tales anthologies. Michael is the editor-in-chief of Dragon's Roost Press, and his works have appeared in a number of collections, including DOA Extreme Horror, Dead Science, Vicious Verses, and Reanimated Rhymes, and the collaborative steampunk novel Army of Brass. He is a kilt enthusiast, and he's killing it over at thedragonsroost.biz. It's Michael Cieslak. Hello, Michael.
Good evening, everyone, and a belated Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's right. That did happen. I call that Singles Awareness Day. All right, so let's go next. We have Mike Exler is back again today. He's the denizen of the dismal, the purveyor of the putrid, that exclaiming exclaimer of glorious gloom wrestling up from his stony tomb. He's the monster, the mad ghoul, the glad, and that sack of mumbling, moaning pus that barfs out baloney. He's the one, and there are many, but he's our very own panel-purveying provocateur. He's Coach Michael Exler. Hey, Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Tim. How are you?
Real good. How's everything out there in the Pittsburgh?
It's rainy right now, and then tomorrow it's supposed to snow. So everything's fine.
Well,
Everything's normal.
sounds pretty typical for Pittsburgh this time of year, huh?
No, usually just cold and snowy, but it's been 50 for a while, so but everything's fine.
And we are remiss if we don't mention that our good friend Rich Dalzotto was scheduled to be on tonight, but unfortunately he is a little bit under the weather. But he passes along his best wishes to everybody, and I'm sure you all join me in wishing him to get well soon because we need him working on Horror Realm. Okay, so we need him back to work. Enough of this break stuff. I think why don't we get things rolling right away here, and we're going to start with you, Mr. Cieslak. What have you been watching?
I was just waiting for you to say, we're going to start with Michael, and have both of us just go,
I almost did that. So I swang and missed. So what are you going to be telling us about tonight?
I am going to be talking about something that is very difficult to see at the moment, but if you do have a chance, you may want to jump on that. I'm going to preface this whole thing by saying that, as you know, I am generally not a fan of remakes. However, the movie that I watched is less a remake and more of a remix, and I will get back to that later in the review. It is Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror.
Wow.
This is currently unreleased. It is making the convention circuit right now. So if you happen to go to a horror convention or a sci-fi convention and Doug Jones is there, you may have the opportunity to see this. Wanted to establish that this is not the theatrical release that's coming up with the Robert Eggers version starring Bill Skarsgård. It's not the 1979 Nosferatu the Vampire with Klaus Kinski and Isabella Gianni. It's not the animated version. It's not the last Nosferatu, and it's not the Shadow of the Vampire with John Malkovich and Willem Dafoe. It's not the 1922 silent classic with Max Schreck, but then it kind of is.
Oh, okay.
So last fall, I was fortunate enough to meet the amazing Doug Jones, who you may know from things like Shape of Water, Pan's Labyrinth, Ape Sapien and Angel of Death, and Del Toro's Hellboy movies, Saru in Star Trek Discovery, when he's one of the gentlemen in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and he was even Mac Tonight in the old McDonald's commercials, if anyone is old enough to remember that terrifying moon-shaped monstrosity that was their mascot for all of 5 minutes.
I was waiting for you to not say his name. I was going to throw that in there.
He actually, I had a great time meeting Doug Jones, and to show you what a great guy he is, and one of those guys that does not take himself seriously, he had Mac the Night pictures there that he was willing to autograph on this giant table of like every other thing that he has that he's been in. Right at the very beginning was the Mac the Night thing, and you could just see all these people come up and they were like, what in the hell is that?
People forget how huge that was when it came out. Mm-hmm. Because we locally here, I don't know if in Detroit and Pittsburgh they had that, but one of our McDonald's here in Milwaukee actually had an animatronic version of Mac the Night that would start singing on an occasional basis. I don't know how often. And I don't think it lasted too long because teenagers ripped them to shreds.
I was going to say, that is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
That is...
It did get vandalized, I'll put it that way. But he sat right in the front window and would start singing. It was actually a pretty darn good animatronic. I always suspected that thing toured or something because it wasn't here too long. But when that advertising campaign was going, it was huge. And if you watch that old commercial, it's kind of surprising how much Doug Jones put into it. I mean, he could have just phoned it in, but he emotes one of those lounge singers of the time.
The man does give his all, and he is absolutely amazing in this performance. Okay. And this is, I'm going to call it a labor of love. And it has been a long time in the making. This started as a Kickstarter project almost 10 years ago. They raised, let's see, I've got my notes here, $67,551 with 744 backers. The director, David Lee Fincher, like I said, is not referring to this as a remake, but as a remix. And the reason is that this does not consist entirely of new material. There is new material that is shot and overlaid on the background of the original Nosferatu. It'll give you a moment to wrap your head around that.
So they took the backgrounds?
I'm assuming that most of our viewers have at least some knowledge of, let me see if I get in the camera here. My friend here, can I get this up in the camera area?
The Shrekness.
The Shrekness here on my shirt.
Yeah.
But it's a silent film, so I don't know how many people will have sat through all of it. I think it's one of the most terrifying vampires ever put on screen. It's always in your, like best moments of horror clip show that they show at Halloween, you always get that picture of him rising up from his casket, just one solid piece like that.
And his shadow going up the stairs.
And the shadow going up the stairs with the hand. Blah.
Yeah, those scenes are amazing.
So what David Lee Fisher has done, and he did this previously with the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, is he's kind of trying to make what would it look like if we kept everything pretty much the same, but we had the dialogue. So instead of having a silent film with maybe musical accompaniment, and again, sidebar, if you have a chance to see it with an actual organist accompaniment, it's absolutely amazing. There's a theater here in Detroit called the Redford Theater. It's a old school movie palace.
Okay.
And it's been refurbished, and they show everything. I think they're going to do the Indiana Jones movies, like all three of them, because that's how many there are. There are three.
Right.
You can't tell me different.
Yeah.
But they'll do special movie nights, and they'll do a silent film series. And when they've done this, they do have the organ that comes up out of the bottom of the thing right in front of the screen, and they have an organist accompaniment, and it's absolutely amazing.
That's awesome.
And this film, the result of this blending is pretty amazing as well. If you're not familiar with Nosferatu, you are, because you've seen Dracula, and it's essentially Dracula. It's the 22 version of Nosferatu was basically the like Dollar General version of Dracula. They made it without getting the rights to it, and then it was the Stoker family sued because they had made a film without getting the rights to it, and for a while it was thought that it was lost, but then they found a print of it, and it's
more complicated than that. There were multiple cuts at one point, and they thought they lost the version that was intended, and there's still a lot of question as to the one that's now kind of predominantly seen as the Nosferatu. Is it the same one that the director actually intended? Mm-hmm. So there's and of course there's questions as to if Max Schreck was actually a vampire.
Yes.
Float out there. And there's a lot of urban legends with this movie.
which is the plot of the Shadow of the Vampire,
right? With
John Malkovich, which is pretty hysterical.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Great.
So Doug Jones naturally plays Count Orlock, and in the talk afterwards, he said that this was one of his roles that he had always wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's like, just wish that someone would ask him to do this, and the opportunity came along, and he jumped at it. And as you can see from the clips that are showing, he is truly there. That's the one right there. The makeup in this is absolutely amazing.
I will tell you, trying to find images of this version of Nosferatu as opposed to the one they're shooting right now, I believe.
Yeah, I was gonna say you probably had a difficult time. Just in case you did have a problem,
it was tough.
I did. I brought along my my little signed poster here that I had. So just in case you couldn't find anything, we got him there as Nosferatu. I'm just gonna put that back there so it doesn't get messed up.
Right. So did they colorize portions of it, or what did they do?
It is. Some areas of it are colorized.
Okay.
It's sepia tone mostly.
Okay.
But the characters are in color. There's some vibrant reds that are in there. Sarah Carter and Jolie Fisher were both absolutely amazing as Ellen and Ruth, who are the like the Mina character from Dracula.
And Lucy, yeah.
Yes, thank you. Mina and Lucy. And I thought it was really well done.
Okay.
Unfortunately, probably most people may not agree with me on this because it's new people in front of an old backdrop. But the way that those things blended were like the carriage scene through the mountains was amazing with the old footage, but new green screen or blue screen. I'm not sure which color screen they had for this, but the carriage portion moving through those old mountain ranges, it looked really cool. So if you have an appreciation for old horror movies, you're going to go, this is pretty awesome.
Okay. Now, how did you come up with dialogue? Because there's famously not many title cards in this thing.
Exactly. So you have all of this brand new dialogue. You get to actually hear the Count talking, which is pretty darn creepy throughout.
Okay.
I'm not sure how other modern audiences are going to appreciate it, especially with a brand new version that's, in the pipe right now.
Right.
I kind of wish I'd backed it. I'm hoping that this will get at least a partial movie release. That's part of the reason that it's going through the convention circuit right now, is they're hoping that someone will see this enough to pick it up and at least give it a limited release. If it comes out on Blu-ray, I'm going to grab it up.
I suspect there will be some sort of streamer looking for it.
Yeah.
And we really have a couple interesting streamers now in the horror space. So it would be interesting to see who might go to snap this thing. But I do know in my search for any images whatsoever in Nosferatu, I did find that they have a color version of Nosferatu, the original film, originally out on Amazon Prime. It's free with your Prime. Well, as free as that is.
As free as Prime is, yes.
Yeah. That is out there available for you. It does have a soundtrack and it's in color, but otherwise it's the movie. So that might be worth seeing as well if you have never seen Nosferatu. I'm a fan of it in black and white. I was going to say,
I have not. I think I have
it
on DVD and Blu-ray in the black and white.
Yeah. So does this stand up, or it's an interesting remake? What's your verdict, and what were you hearing from other patrons?
Everyone that was there seemed to really like it, but you have to, if you've ever taken a statistics class, you have to look at what your actual sample is. And the sample of the people that were in this audience were all people who were standing in line to get an autograph from Doug Jones.
Right. And
so they are.
And he's in the building. You don't want to say, boy, that guy's got no talent. You're just not going to do that.
Sucked!
Yeah. Exler might say something like that, but other people are polite when this happens.
I think just for the sheer novelty of the new dialogue, new action, the motion is much smoother, but then with those classic 20s backdrops of the castles and the grimy street scenes when he comes to town, I think it's worth a pickup.
Okay. Well, I think, are we at that point?
I would definitely give this an A-. I mean, it's not something, like I said before, I don't think it's something that not to sound, elitist or like a snob or anything, I don't think it's anything that the general public's going to see, but I think horror aficionados are really going to dig it.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting idea to me. I think their release time is extremely unfortunate.
Agreed.
With the other film hot on its heels, I think it's going to be hard for them to differentiate. And there is going to be some market confusion, and I think some people are going to see this and say, hey, is this one of those mockbusters?
Yeah, is this Atlantic Rim?
Yeah, exactly. What's the name of that outfit? You guys know this stuff, Mike.
I know exactly what it is, and I cannot think of it.
Asylum. You're right.
Thank you.
Yes, thank
you,
Exler, with the pickup. They made camel spiders as well, so if you need to know. Oh boy.
Anything.
Yeah, anything. They write the titles to the movies, I think, before the movies get written, and just backwards. All right. Well, thanks for that. And so far, it's still, as of the time we record this, it's still not in distribution.
Yeah, it is still not available other than in select showings.
The link that I provide in the show notes will go to its IMDb, which I'm hoping will be updated as things change. And
yes.
So it's a good place. And you want to check that and not just do a search of Nosferatu, or you're going to find the 50 other movies.
Yeah, you're going to find Bill Skarsgård first.
Yes, you are. The jury's out on that one for me, but we'll see how this all goes. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you very much. We are now going to be going to another Mike. Mike Exler, what have you been watching?
I decided to watch 2023's Thanksgiving, directed by Eli Roth.
Now, this is not Thanksgiving. This is Thanksgiving. No. Okay.
It is Thanksgiving. This was a part of the 2007 Grindhouse release, a collaboration between Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino. They made two Grindhouse-esque films, and they had some of their famous director buddies make fake trailers, and this was one of them. So I don't know why, almost 2 decades later, they were like, hey, remember that shit we did in 2007? We should check that out and do this movie. Yeah. But that's exactly what they did. And I guess people were excited to see it because I guess it did well. NECA has a figure of the killer, the Pilgrim Killer guy. So I don't know. I guess there's a following. I myself personally do not care for Eli Roth's style. I don't think he has any. So I've heard good things about the film, so I was like, I'm going to go in with a clear mind. I haven't seen anything from Eli in quite a long time.
Right.
So let's give it a good chance. So that's exactly what I did. So this film, the only really real star that's in here is Patrick Dempsey. The rest of the other people I have never heard of, so I'm not going to belabor that point.
What about Gina Gershon? I thought she's
in it for 30 seconds.
Okay.
She's not even worth mentioning. And also Patrick Dempsey does the worst Boston accent ever in the history of ever.
Your friend from Boston.
Oh God, I was like, just stop, dude, just stop trying to do it. But the gist of the film is basically this Walmart type store has a Black Friday sale, and it starts at midnight on Thanksgiving, and people die and get all kinds of trampled on and everything. And a year later, someone is back for revenge. So that is the general gist of the film.
Wow.
My first impressions of the film, it just felt like a Halloween ripoff. And it wasn't well done either. It was almost as though Eli looked at you like at the camera and was like, I saw Halloween. I saw it, and this is what I'm doing. I'm paying homage to it. He just kind of smacked you over the head with it. It was just like, man, okay, we get it, bro. We get it. I expected more from him because he's been making movies for I don't even know how long anymore, but he seems to make the same goddamn mistakes all the time. But people will give him a pass. The kills were okay to me. There were a couple that were decent, I will say. but nothing really stood out to me that was like, oh, okay, that adds something a little new, or that's really geared towards Thanksgiving, something like that. But the the one thing, um, it's obvious that the killer is a person. It's not a monster. It's not anything.
Right.
And the killer at one point he twists the person's head around, and I'm not quite sure a human is capable of doing that. Maybe if you're like super large, like a bodybuilder or something, but this guy is not that. So it was just kind of, it was just kind of like that. It was just like, stick with what you're doing, man. Like you had a bunch of decent kills, whatever, working to the strengths of a guy that's not very big. This is not like Rob Zombie's, Tyler Mane,
Right.
Michael Myers.
Right.
This is just a regular sized guy. And then all of a sudden he can twist the dude's head around. Like, just kind of takes you out of it a little bit. Takes me out of it anyway. Just stick with the reality of it. I wrote in my notes, it's typical Eli Roth, throw gore on the screen and, no real substance. He tried to do the horror comedy type thing, and I just felt that a lot of the jokes fell flat. Some of them connected. I will give him that. I mean, some of it did work, but again, just a lot of the same old issues that I kind of have with Eli. He just doesn't seem to do much better. But I'm sure this will get a sequel or something like that, because I'm pretty sure that it made money. But again, I think if you're an Eli Roth fan, I think you're going to enjoy it. If you're not, I don't think you are at all. I think you're just gonna, it's just there's so much like hostile type nonsense. If this guy was a monster, then okay, let's go with that.
Right.
But that divide just really kind of broke the film for me. It was just like,
you don't like 1 foot in one thing and 1 foot in the other, and
right,
kind of
just
mixing it up.
Yeah, no. If you're gonna give me this superhuman monster, awesome, do that. Or if you're just gonna give me a dude that just lost it, great, give me that. But don't give me this, I don't know, half-ass bullshit.
I just watched a movie that had that, where it was 1 foot was in this reality and 1 foot was in the other, and it's a lot of people like this movie, and I'm almost ashamed to say which one it is, but Jacob's Wife by Barbara Crampton. As you know, I'm getting ready to have her in a panel discussion. And like the beginning of the movie, it's almost like an A24 elevated type of horror movie. And I was literally checking out. I was like, okay, I'm kind of done with this. And it takes a hard left turn into Weirdo World and almost becomes a horror comedy. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Did either of you guys catch this movie?
No.
I need somebody to watch this thing so I can I don't know what I felt like. I am so conflicted. It was made in 2019. So it's relatively recent, and acting, of course, was fine. But it's like they made 2 different movies and like shoved them together. I don't know. Now, it sounds like Mike has no question. He's got an opinion on how he feels about it. I came out of this movie. I don't know how I feel about it. So Thanksgiving, I'm going to guess that the reason they made this is Eli Roth must go to conventions and stuff, I'm thinking. And I bet you people bring up that trailer all the time to him, because the trailer in Grindhouse I thought was fun. Yeah. I liked the trailer that was in
and
Grindhouse.
Some of the other ones they made did pretty well. You've got
Machete.
A hobo with a shotgun and Machete, and
yeah.
Still waiting for Don't.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. That was a good point. It has nothing of the trailer matches this one.
No.
Nothing.
That sucks. Okay.
Like the tone, the look, nothing. It's almost feels like a cookie cutter, like Valentine and shit like that. It's just, I don't know.
It looks very slick, and as I recall, that trailer was very much the grindhouse bad film stock, crapulous.
That's what I was going to say. When I first saw the trailers for this, I didn't even connect that it was supposed to be associated with those, coming soon previews, because this looks polished. Right. And the whole point of those was, this is the kind of stuff that you'd see on 42nd Street.
Now, I will say that gets old. The skip in the video and stuff. I mean, in Grindhouse, I had issues with some of that. I'm like, well, let's just watch the movie, So I don't fault it for that. Machete didn't fall back on that. But it is an old-fashioned type of idea, right? You have to do something new with it at this point. And if they're just doing a greatest hits album, it's just a greatest hits album. It doesn't have the same resonance as an original concept.
Wasn't Eli Roth's film before this the Cannibal Holocaust one?
Oh God, that one was terrible.
Ugh. I mean, is he just kind of falling back on the you said it best, Mike, the quote unquote homage?
Yeah, I saw this.
Rip my hair out.
Look at me. I know stuff.
Exactly. Yes.
There is another thing. I'm going to mention this. It probably has nothing to do with the movie, but I'm always off on a tangent. When did Thanksgiving become just pre-Black Friday? That happened sometime during our lifetimes, right? Because when I was a little kid, Black Friday, it was a thing, but not a thing. Sometime in the 80s when, the Cabbage Patch happened, that's when Black Friday became big, but Thanksgiving was still kind of big. Now it's almost like, it's Thanksgiving, we're just getting ready to...
It's pre-Christmas.
Yeah. It's just like, let's get into the stores tomorrow.
Every year I say, when I was in school, every month had a holiday.
Yeah.
And you didn't try to bump it up into the, it was Halloween, and then it was Thanksgiving, and then it was
Christmas,
the whole Christmas season-ish, and then start all over again, New Year's, Valentines.
That's why
whatever the hell's in March. And this, as horror people, we got to be watching out for this, because the fat man's already pushed the turkeys out of the way. And I've got a conspiracy theory about that. But he's gunning for Halloween. We got to put Mr. Claus back in his lane. But my theory is that this whole Christmas extending all the way, the Christmas music starts on November 1. That's bullshit. But I think that there's an association of kind of the turkey version of the Illuminati, and they are trying to just blank out Thanksgiving altogether and just make us think of nothing but Christmas, and then Turkey Day will fade away, and the turkeys will all live. You heard it here first.
Wow, I just was making an amusing comment, and it became into a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, you guys didn't know that this baseball cap has a tinfoil lining on the inside.
I will say I was shocked this year. Prior to New Year's, I was going into Walmart, and they already had Valentine's Day stuff on the shelves. And I was like, okay, I've grown accustomed to Christmas getting out even before Thanksgiving. I've grown accustomed to Halloween basically pushing out back to school on the thing. But I didn't know Valentine's Day was getting to be that big. So I'm actually, I think I'm penciling in tomorrow. I'm going to go check what's out on the Walmart seasonal thing, see what they push next. I'm thinking it's going to be St. Patty's. I'm thinking it's St. Patty's.
That's the March one. I should know that. Yeah. The funny thing is that I went to pick up a prescription, and this is totally off tangent, on Monday, and they already had some of the Valentine's Day candy on sale.
Well, that's the
Like, they
other
didn't
reason.
even wait until today, which is, when those of us who really need a shot of insulin go and we're like, ah, cool, candy for half off.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be hitting that for sure. All right, Mike, are you at the point where you want to grade?
Yeah, I'll give it a grade.
Okay, here comes your scorecard, I think. Come on. Yeah. Why don't you just tell me because it's fighting me right now?
All right, I'm just going to give it a plain old D.
Ooh, a D.
It's
Yikes.
not F worthy. It looked good, It was acting wasn't terrible. The actors did what they could do with what they were given. So yeah,
Ah,
just the D. It's just very uninspired. I don't know. I just don't know who keeps giving him money, but
He's
so be
got
it.
a following though. Every one of his movies, he wouldn't be allowed to keep making movies if they weren't
Oh, I know.
making money.
It's an
Uh,
unpopular opinion. A lot of people like him. I don't.
all right. Well, getting to unpopular opinions, here's me. I'm going to be doing my review of a movie that came out not too long ago, folks. In fact, I kept writing down in my notes that it was 2024, but it actually, according to IMDb, is 2023. And that's the brand new movie written by Dennis Paoli called Suitable Flesh. Again, as you know, I'm kind of on a binge with Barbara Crampton movies and all the folks I'll be interviewing at Horror Realm coming March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd to the Pittsburgh area. And this movie is definitely the most recent horror movie from any of those panelists. Um, this is based on an H.P. Lovecraft joint called It Came to the Doorstep. Okay? I have never read any H.P. Lovecraft. My guess is that Cieslak, you probably have.
oh, dude, I did not realize that this was based on Doorstep. I kind of have everything unboxed now in the den, and there's just Cthulhu all over the frickin' place in this room. So yeah, not a fan of the person, but a fan of the mythos.
Well, what I read online is this is not, Doorstep is not considered one of his best works. A lot of times I'm hearing it's kind of toward the bottom of the list, but it is associated with the Cthulhu. What do they call that? All those Cthulhu books that he has. Honestly, in this movie, there's like maybe a picture of Cthulhu in one book that they open up, but you're not seeing a full-on monster coming out like that. I should mention because it does have some great actors in this. Heather Graham in what I believe might be her first horror movie that she's been in. Barbara Crampton, of course, has. I think she is the supporting actress. I think she is the lead supporting actress in the film. And there is a rather good sized role for Bruce Davison of Willard fame is in here. Now, your main actor in this movie is a guy by the name of Judah Lewis. I am not going to be joining this gentleman's fan club. I think he kind of was the biggest problem in the film, in my opinion. Joe Lynch, who many of you may know as Adam Green's sidekick on the TV show Holliston, was the director of Wrong Turn 2, Mayhem, and a couple other films. He made the movie and directed it after Stuart Gordon succumbed to, I think it was cancer. I think he passed away from. This was being set up to be a Stuart Gordon film, and we lost him before he was able to make this. The script was written by Dennis Paoli, who wrote Reanimator, From Beyond, some of the others of Castle Freak, also Castle Freak. I will say I found the script a little bit dull. It didn't really grab me. What did grab me, Heather Graham was truly exceptional in the lead here, in a role that could have went campy, because it is a body swap movie. I don't know if I don't think that's a spoiler. But, different people coming into her body. And a lot of times that can become 18 again. Somebody's doing a George Burns impersonation, or, it can sometimes be pretty campy. This movie was not campy. In fact, all the performance, except for this Judah kid, very good. And Crampton was not like a quick cameo. So often she's used, she's quick and gone, like one day of filming. And she works great in here. Now, there was a line in the movie where Heather Graham is supposedly Barbara Crampton's mentor. And I'm like, okay, nobody's falling for that Crampton is younger than Heather Graham. She looks spectacular for 60 years old. Do not, don't play that with me. But she doesn't look younger than Heather Graham. That she does not do. So I thought that was strange. I will say, for people that are film nerds and enjoy camera moves and really unique filmmaking choices, Joe Lynch is really growing into a good director. A lot of really interesting camera angles, sweeps, moves. And I think what he was doing, they did some filming at the old Miskatonic University that was used in the first Reanimator film. He did a lot of, here's another movie that's going to use the word homage, but he wasn't trying to copy Stuart Gordon. He was trying to get the feel, which this is where I'm about to go. Remember how I said it doesn't fall into camp? Have you seen the Stuart Gordon films? They're campy as hell. This
the hell are you saying?
I'm sorry, they are. This movie avoided becoming campy at all. So, it's a nod to Stuart Gordon and all these people. It references and that. And I'm like, yeah, but it's a totally, completely different tone. So I feel like I was being set up when I put this in, or hit the little button, as it turns out these days. I was getting ready for a Stuart Gordon-esque horror movie, and it has a lot of the visual cues, okay? It looks like one, but the tone is completely different. There were times where I was getting a little nostalgic for movies like Big or other body swap comedies while this is going on, because they avoided it extremely well. I'm not sure if that served them completely, because what I found is the movie wasn't a whole lot of fun to watch. Now, for guys like you, Exler, that like the dark horror, this is dark horror. If you've been looking for an H.P. Lovecraft dark horror film, this is probably it. It avoids the camp. I just don't know how I feel about it. Another interesting aspect is this movie was developed by Barbara Crampton's production company. Barbara Crampton took a long, I'll call it leave of absence, from movie making, and she had some health issues, etc. When she came back, what was it? He's Back or She's Back? I can't remember what the name of the movie was. That was her big comeback. She decided to take ownership of her own career and create a production company that came out with that. Jacob's Wife was, I think, their first one. And this one is, I don't know, the second or the third one that has come out. I will say, even though I'm not 100% sure how I feel about Jacob's Wife, but that movie and this one, extremely well produced. It wasn't overly slick, but it looked like they spent enough money to make a movie that wasn't embarrassing, you know?
Was Jacob's Wife the sequel to Jacob's Ladder?
It was not, which that would have actually been fun. Jacob's Wife, I'm telling you, this is the most conflicting movie I've seen in a long time. I don't know what to do. This movie is also very conflicting for me because I kind of wish it was campy. I'm like, well, it would have been fun if this happened, you know? And it's like, no, I understand why they did it, okay? I get it. I understand why they did it. Because they wanted it to be taken seriously. But boy, I kind of would have liked it to have a little more. Keep in mind, like Joe Lynch, one of his credits is he was doing Chillerama, and he did Nights of Badassery, if you've seen that film. He even did a movie with Jeff Miller's favorite actress. He did Everly. So he can do camp. So I find this an extremely interesting film in that aspect. I just don't know if I like it. And grading it I've been back and forth on this thing. It's not going to be as high as an A. It's not going to be as low as an F. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of a wimpy number on this thing. And I'm going to go with like a C+. I liked it, but I felt like I could have liked it a lot more. And I don't know how else to put it, but that's kind of how I feel about it. You guys got any questions on this one?
It's just kind of weird what you were saying. I mean, you put Barbara Crampton in something based on Lovecraft, and there isn't a camp factor. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that, actually.
And it's surprisingly, she keeps her clothes on. Even that Jacob's
Ladder?
Wife. I almost did that. Jacob's Wife film. Here she was 61 years old. She's got a topless scene in there. And that didn't happen here. Heather Graham was one topless scene in here with her. A lot of the movie, honestly, felt like one of those 90s thrillers that Shannon Tweed did, where, you know, it's like a love scene with the wind blowing in and the curtains moving, that sort of thing. But then it would take a turn, you know, and it'd go back to horror. So there was, I will say this, I think Joe Lynch is an exceptional director. I'm not sure I like the choices he made, but boy, he really knows what he's doing. And
he gave his movie a C-. How much did he know what he was doing?
The thing is, I think the script is the problem. I really do.
C = average.
Yeah. I think, let me put it this way. I think he's got a good movie coming. We haven't seen it yet. Maybe that's the way to put it. I think the guy knows his way around the camera. He knows how to make things look good. he obviously made a decision. He made a decision. We were not going to be campy in this movie. And he kept to it, and it stayed that way. I just don't know that I agree with the decision. From what I've been seeing online, I think I might be in a minority on this. Some people are just over the moon for this film.
I have one question, Tim.
Yeah.
Is this anything like Tremors?
It is nothing like Tremors.
Okay.
There's absolutely, nor is it like Willard. Nor, in a lot of ways, it isn't a whole lot like Reanimator either. Considering the pedigree here, the look is kind of similar. I don't know. This is another one of those. I wish some more people. I'm hoping at Horror Realm, some folks have seen this movie and can set me straight on it, because I really don't know how I feel completely about it, and I'd like to talk it out with somebody else that's seen it. So if you see me at Horror Realm, pull me aside. I really want to talk about this one and Jacob's wife, not Jacob's. Stop it. So that's it for our movie reviews tonight, folks. But as always, when we do a show like this, we have got to do a little hucksterism, and we're going to tell you about the things that we're involved in. Of course, you know about the otherworldlyculture.com website, which is just spectacular and everybody should check out. And we want to tell you about Michael's website, which is thedragonsroost.biz. And what have you got special out there right now, Michael?
We we have a show coming up that some people may have heard about. I mentioned this last week. We were on the waiting list, but we do have a vendor table at this show in Pittsburgh. Yes.
I've heard of
so
it.
I will see if I can, if I have a chance, I will take a look at this, your last movie there, and give you a chat with it.
Absolutely.
Also in March, we will be launching a Kickstarter for our next release, which is The Pleasure in Pain, which should be coming out at the end of March.
All right. Fantastic. So, and of course, you can go on out to the Dragon's Roost, and you have to have the, or you're going to go somewhere else.
It's going to go some weird, probably fake site trying to be me. Everyone wants to be me.
Yeah. That biz. By the way, do you sign for free at
I do.
Wow,
sign for free.
What an outstanding value.
And as all joking aside, there is another place, and I cannot remember where it is, but I had done a convention there, and next time I'm on, I will have their information as well. But it's called the Dragon's Roost, and it is a coffee shop / gaming store. And those guys are amazing, and I give them thumbs up as well.
All
We
right.
just happen to have the same name, but they are a bunch of really cool people out that way.
Fantastic.
And I wish I could remember what city it's in. See if I can find it before the show ends.
All right. Well, people yelling at their computer right now. Well, you have an opportunity to look at that, because we are going to tell everybody we are only, and I couldn't believe this when I double checked that today. We're only 14 days away. 14 days away from Horror Realm. Coming March 1st through the 3rd at the Crown Plaza in Pittsburgh South. Look at that guest list we have sliding through here. And I guess because all three of us are going to be there, do you want to mention who are some of the folks you're looking forward to seeing? We'll start with you, Mr. Exler. Who are you looking forward to see?
William Forsythe.
William Forsythe, Flat Top from...
Yep.
Now, what's your favorite film with Forsythe?
Out for Justice, but he hates it. That's just the one, like, I don't know. I always associate with him, but obviously Dick Tracy is a good one. But Letters to Gacy is, I don't know, one within the past decade, I would say, and it's a chilling movie. So I haven't seen him in a long time, so I look forward to seeing him again.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing him as well. Honestly, Out for Justice is my favorite Seagal movie.
Yeah.
And he's a big part of the reason why I find that
Right.
film palatable. So that's great. Um, okay, and I'm going to say mine is actually I've seen Dee Wallace before. I'm absolutely over the moon. I get to interact with her in our interview. But as for guests that I'm not going to be interviewing in a panel, I'm really looking forward to meeting Charlie Band. I grew up on those full moon VHS and then later DVDs at my local Parkside video store. We used to sit there and just watch them right in the video store, which not always was a good choice when the kids were coming in to check out the latest Disney releases. But, those kids probably wanted to see puppets doing that sort of activity. So that was good. This was before the evil bong days. It was still puppets. And I'm a huge fan of the first Trancers. I just think is very interesting. And actually, I believe they're trying to remake it right now. Like a major studio is interested or optioned or something like that.
What about Dollman?
Dollman, you know what? That's one of them I've missed. And
What?
You're not missing nothing.
well, I got it on Tubi. I'll be watching
Got
it.
this.
I'll be watching it. I do want to watch Demonic Toys again before I go out there. I like that one, but it. You know what? What I like with his movies, they're not pretending to teach you a lesson. It's like, yeah, we're gonna have some movies, we're gonna have some violence. Here we go, kids. Strap in.
Strap on.
You don't have to worry about. Like the movie Argyle that just came out, there's a lot of people saying that was a lie, the way that they advertised that movie, because it's really kind of a love movie and it looks like it's a spy thriller and all this stuff that's going on. I never felt like I saw a Charlie Band movie. I didn't get exactly what that cover said and what they told me in the trailer. It's like, yeah.
There is indeed an evil bong
Yeah,
in this film.
Subspecies, this is another movie shot in Romania with vampires. Here we go. So I'm looking forward to meeting him and sharing my love of his Tubi channel, because I just love talking about Tubi. Anyway, that's what we have for this week's show. We want to thank everybody. We are not going to be back next week. We're taking our Horror Realm break. And when we come back, Otherworldly Cultures podcast is going to be on Dead on Thursdays. We will have Dead on the Bases. And you will see some Dead on the Movies kind of slipped in there if situations happen with our calendar. So you are going to want to keep an eye on all of our social media and all that stuff to see when we're changing things up. Because I'll tell you right now, if my partner Jeff Miller, if he gets a sniffle, I'm calling a couple of friends and we're doing a Dead On movie reviews. That's just the way it works around here at Otherworldly Culture. Remember, you can check us out on Twitter or X or whatever they're calling it, Facebook. You can check out our website at otherworldlyculture.com. If you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening to it on one of the like 50 different podcast services that we're signed up with, please Give us a review, like us, subscribe, do all that good stuff. We just want to share all of our loveliness with the entire world. So go ahead and try to help us out. We really appreciate it. Thank you all, and I hope you had a great Valentine's Day. We'll see you out in Pittsburgh, because when you aim at horror, make sure you are dead on. See you next time. Otherworldlyculture.com. Good night, everybody.